Um, Good morning to everyone in the media, everyone following us on the live feed in the diaspora and wherever you may be. It is Tuesday morning, the third day of the 2025 hurricane season. I bring you special greetings from the United Workers' Party, and as you know, this is one of the forums that we use to bring the truth to light to the people of St. Lucia. As I indicated, we are in the hurricane season. It is rather unfortunate that we've not heard anything really from NEMO. What is going on? I don't even know that inspection of emergency shelters have been done in most communities. At least in my community, I know the church is an emergency shelter where I attend, and I have not seen or heard anything in relation to this. But as we reflect on where we are, as St. Lucians, first and foremost, not United Workers' Party supporters or St. Lucia Labour Party supporters or persons who are not affiliated to any political party, we are first St. Lucians. And when St. Lucia does well, every one of us benefits. I did indicate that I will deal with a few constituency matters. And it is rather disheartening and sad when I say to St. Lucians that the St. Lucia Labour Party has a special hatred and dislike for Castries South East. Every day it is evident by the behavior of the government and the persons on the Labour Party side who have offered themselves to represent Castries South East. And the latest incident to prove what I've been saying happened just over the weekend. A good corporate citizen visiting from the United States came to St. Lucia from the community of Forestier. Forestier, Tiroche, and Genoa are very well connected communities. The health center for the area is in Tiroche. So everyone from Forestier does not have a health center. So everybody goes to the Tiroche Health Center. The post office is in Tiroche. Everybody who uses the post office from Forestier has to go to Tiroche because Forestier does not have. So the connection between the communities. Children from Geno attend school in Forestier while there's a school in the Tiroche area, and very interlinked. And this gentleman who came by, he looked at the court. It was in a total mess. So he paid some young men in the area to pressure wash it, and he had discussions with the persons of the development committee, and they agreed that he would pin the court. I was not involved as a politician in the process. We're talking about a corporate citizen. And the paint was purchased on Sunday morning at Harris Paints, I think. I don't know if it was purchased the Sunday or if it was purchased the Saturday. But I was passing and I saw them. They were scraping off the old paint, pressure washing, and then they painted the court. And I asked the gentleman, he said, well, he had discussions and they used the color that was in conformity to the school, the health center, and the old daycare center that is in an abandoned state. Somebody must have called the parliamentary representative, and he came there and started quarreling about the color that the court was painted. And he made remarks to the point. I was informed that he used obscene language in his comments by the persons. I was not present. I can only report on what I was told, and there's more than one person, even last night, that was further verified. And he said that he was going to pin the court over. And I challenged the media to go there this morning, and you'd see that the entire court that was paid to be painted by a corporate citizen has been repainted. So the court got 2 coats of paint, one on Sunday and one on Monday, and it is painted in gray. Now, what does that tell us? St. Lucia, I want you to pay attention. There are so many other facilities that need painting in St. Lucia. For 4 years, the Labour Party is in office. That court has not been touched or painted or anything done to it. The gentleman came and he said that this is government property and nobody has a right to go and paint it, not realizing that this project was rejected by the Labour Party government when Menisa Rambali was the parliamentary representative. You know what the response was? They don't have enough people in the area to build a multi-purpose court. The community got together, and the same corporate citizens in the community put in the time and the effort, and the court was built without the involvement of central government. Today, so it tells me the level of wickedness of this Labour Party government, and Mr. Joachim Henry in particular. He could have painted the court in red. You think I would be offended by a court being painted in red? And I said it. The court could always take 2 coats of paint. But if you go there, the inside wall of the court, which the corporate citizen did not paint yet, was not painted either. So the inside wall of the court is a mess. As I passed there this morning on my way to here, and there was nobody painting. But yesterday, the entire court was painted. The outside wall that was painted by the corporate citizen is painted in gray. Now tell me, why would any St. Lucian corporate citizen come into St. Lucia wanting to make a contribution to their community want to get involved when that is the attitude of the Philip J. Pierre administration? Now I want to tell them, we repaired the Bel Air Road, not the Bel Air Road, the Chopin Road. Are they going to go and dig out the concrete and now put new concrete or asphalt? We are in the process of fixing. So if the rep wants things to fix in the constituency, I can give him a list of the things that we are working on. We started work on the bridge going to the farms in Crown Lands. Just one piece of it has been done. So Mr. Parliamentary Rep, instead of going and remove what we put there, go and get it done. They have 8 houses we are working on repairs. I can give you the list. I will be happy to give you the list to go and fix it. The Tiroche School, the auditorium where we used for the meeting, is in need of a ceiling, which the same corporate citizen who painted was willing to do. We want you to go and put in the ceiling for the building. The road going to Flosac number 1 is in a total mess. we were going to bring a couple trucks of concrete to fix it, we would be happy if you would go and do it. Because it cannot be. It means that the government always had the means to paint the court, but never did. And as somebody else did it, so you felt that and the thing was not even yellow, not even the yellow of the color of flambeau, Because I don't believe in going and paint things in the community, the colors of political parties. When we painted the CDCs, we painted the CDCs the colors of the flag to show that this was national housing. And we see that this Labour Party government, they are painting bridge railings in red, which is not the international code for road safety. And we talk about road safety. We see the bollards that they place on the sides of the sidewalks. You are supposed to use the yellow, which is reflective of the light when it flashes. Colors are not used. When you use red, it's a dead color. It's not reflective. So you don't see the danger. We have challenged the Minister of Transport to justify the red colors that they are using on road safety issues. So, St. Lucia, when Labour Party was in office, you can ask the procurement officers, they were not allowed to purchase notepads that was yellow. And that was from the days of Dr. Kenny Anthony. You can ask any of the procurement officers. Not even a yellow notepad. There was the pinkish color one and the white ones. These were the only ones permitted. Are we that divided politically? That we cannot even paint things a particular color in this country? So, Mr. Henry, I hope that you can address all of the issues that I have mentioned there, because rest assured, with or without you, we are going to fix the things at the Tiroche School. We are going to fix the things, the houses that I mentioned. We are going to fix the road in Flosac, and we are going to repair the houses for the individuals. You know how bad it is, St. Lucia? A gentleman was promised support to fix his house for 4 years. Strong supporter of Mr. Henry. For the 4 years, he did nothing for the gentleman. That same corporate citizen went and purchased material for him. He informed me that Mr. Henry asked him to return the material to the gentleman. Don't accept anything from them when he has not done anything for that gentleman. That is the parliamentary representative of Castries South East today. But I didn't come here just to deal with that. My colleague from Micoud North requested explanation on the $80 million loan for the NLA. It is not today that the Labour Party has been squandering the money that is to be used for the young people of St. Lucia. I have a list in my hands there, and I challenge them to prove me wrong. 2015 to 2016, millions of dollars from the national lotteries was spent through a program that was the minister's account. Minister Sean Edward the present Minister of Education, was then Minister of Sports, and there was an account open that was called the Minister's account. And they challenged me in Parliament, and I was able to bring the document. So I can say it out here. I want them to prove me. And on this is a list of hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars was spent. On this, you passing by Marigo, I challenge the media to go and look at the little changing room next to the Marigo playing field that looks like a 40-foot container, abandoned. $600,000 was spent. And you know who was in charge? Ada Inc. And you know who Ada Inc. belongs to? Mr. Joachim Henry. And I challenge the Labour Party, when you want to label people and you want to say things about people, I can say what I have to say anywhere, anytime. And there, I will not call the people's names, but I can show you resurfacing of playing fields. Marigo playing field, $420,980 to take some loads of sand from Roseau Beach. The sand was not even paid for, and to spread on that playing field. Mon playing field, resurfacing, $385,815. All of that NLA money. Listen to this. Carpentry and joinery and floor wall and ceiling finishings. Larry Shoes playing field. Now, I don't know if the playing field has a ceiling. I don't know what that description is. They spent $236,530. That was the estimated cost. The actual amount paid was $269,225. A difference or a cost overrun of over $32,000. Listen to this. If you go, there are so many of these that I see another one. So one for the Marigo playing field is dated. Listen to this. One for the Marigo playing field is dated 15th November. $462,477. The other one for the Marigo playing field is dated 15th September, same year, $420,980. So almost $1 million of NLA money. So you see what is happening with NLA today? That's the MO of the Labour Party. That is how they operate. The money that should be used for young people, now $800,000 every month is to be paid by the NLA for the next 15 years. So all of the scholarships, the sports scholarships, the support for athletes, and all of these things that was coming from the National Lotteries Authority has vanished. And we cannot get an account from the minister, from the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Finance, for the $80 million of the National Lotteries loan towards the improvement of playing facilities. And while we are talking about that, the poles for the Bexon playing field is still in the grass, and the lights are still in a container. and not one light has been placed in that area, while 80 million is spent. Now, I move on from constituency issues. I want to deal for the next few minutes with universal health coverage versus universal health insurance. A United Workers' Party in its 2021 manifesto highlighted what we would do in healthcare. And I want St. Lucians to pay attention to what I am going to say. This is what we did while we were there. Commissioned the OKEU hospital, converted Victoria Hospital into a respiratory clinic, refurbished and upgraded 14 health centers or wellness centers, as we call them, island-wide. Constructed 2 new wellness centers in Micoud and Ancillary. Extended operating hours of the Grosile Polyclinic to midnight. Increased budget for medical assistance to the public from $700,000 to $4 million. When they tell you, oh, Honorable Alan Chasney was not doing things to help the people, $4 million. And that is for health coverage, especially for persons going to Matnik. So while Labour Party was spending $700,000, we spent $4 million. That is more than 5 times the amount that Labour was spending. Also, we were working on construction of a brand new St. Jude hospital. Because sometimes people want to tell us, well, what did you all do when you all were there? I want to make it clear to St. Lucians that what we were doing is well documented. Because sometimes people don't take the time to read. So here's what we would have done. And this is what we said we would have done. In our first 100 days in office. Introduce $3 million to back to school program targeting vulnerable and single parents. Introduce consultation and prepare strategies for the introduction of unemployment benefits. Pass legislation in respect to national health for all. I will stop there on the health because I'm focusing on health. But what was our response to the health crisis of COVID? Because it is easy for us to forget how quickly COVID came upon us. We found an economy that was in decline. Kenny Anthony said, something happened that never happened before. They went to the market to raise money through bonds and treasury bills and could not raise the money. They asked them to go and put their financial house in order. You know, instead of putting their financial house in order, what they did? They called the election 6 months earlier. Because Labour Party could not put their financial house in order. And fortunately for St. Lucia, the United Workers' Party, under the leadership of Honorable Alan Chasney, won the elections. And as he had indicated, he needed 3 years to put the economy back on stream. And as the economy was taking off, COVID hit us in 2019. St. Lucia, let me remind you, we had a few months to convert the Victoria Hospital into a respiratory hospital. So we commissioned the OKEU hospital. In record time, we moved from VH to OKEU. conversion of Victoria Hospital into a respiratory clinic, along with the upgrade of other polyclinics island-wide. Establish an isolation and quarantine unit. You remember how many quarantine units we were operating in St. Lucia? While in other countries in the Caribbean, people had to be staying in schools. In St. Lucia, people were staying in hotels as quarantine. You know, if the Honorable Alan Chasney had put people in schools, what they would have said, he's a hotel owner, he's this. But the St. Lucians, that's in St. Vincent, people were in schools, in different places. In St. Lucia, you remember Starfish Hotel? Bellevue, all the places that was available, the government paid for people to be in quarantine. Procuring of services of the Cuban Brigade of nurses and doctors. You remember? Shortage of nurses. People getting sick with COVID. Planes not flying. We were able to get the nurses and doctors out of Cuba to St. Lucia to assist St. Lucia in dealing with COVID. Procurement of personal protective wear, ventilators to outfit medical facilities. You remember that? America was not even allowing the ventilators to go through their ports because every country was for themselves. A UWP-led government by the Honorable Alan Chasney and then Minister of Health Mary Isaac, we were able to secure the things that was required. So we were able to get the ventilators. When other countries got vaccines and St. Lucia had not gotten vaccine, they started labeling Alan Chasney as not caring about St. Lucians. But he was able to get the vaccines that was required. And I'm not afraid to touch that. We went into a partnership with Barbados and the Bahamas to order vaccines. And the persons who were supposed to supply the vaccines did not supply. The money was paid. A percentage of the money has been refunded to the government of St. Lucia. Yet still every day the Labour Party supporters are asking, where is the money? Has the Prime Minister reported, as he indicated in the town hall meeting in New York, that when he goes back to St. Lucia, he's going to give an update? And the gentleman who was given the money have hundreds of acres of land in St. Lucia. So you always have a fallback position. And the matter is being dealt with, and the money is being paid. But you're not hearing the labor rights telling you about this. So, we established isolation quarantine units. We got them, we got the doctors here. Procurement of personal protective wear in equipment. Procurement of COVID wardens. You remember we had to put COVID wardens in place to help control the spread of COVID. We had to do social stabilization. NIC Economic Relief Program for 3 months, which assisted 22,000 displaced workers. Direct government income support to 5,000 non-NIC contributors, including the artists. Because during that time, nobody was working, nothing was happening. St. Lucia, you must not forget what the United Workers' Party was able to do in a crisis situation. Tens of thousands of free masks for the public, income and corporate tax filing extensions, bank credit unions moratoriums, tax credits to businesses for at least 70% of their staff, fuel rebate to minibus drivers, electricity assistance to more than 4,000 persons, a credit of $75 per household. Rental payments suspended for 6 months for those renting from government. National Meals Program feeding thousands. Food boxes to 1,000 households weekly. Agricultural produce purchased from local farmers to sustain them. Tax incentive to local manufacturers to diversify production into sanitary supplies, soap, hand sanitizers, etc. Public assistance program, cash transfers, increase from 2,600 to 3,600 households. We increased the number by 1,000 households. Since the Labour Party came into office, they have cut it down by 700. Cash top-ups for marginalized groups, children in foster care, persons with disabilities, and persons living with HIV. Hygiene care packages for vulnerable households. You see what we say? Not period products. Hygiene packages for the poor and the needy, vulnerable households. So, where am I going with this? We did all of this in a crisis situation, and OKEU was not lacking basic supplies of medicine, pillows, bed sheets, water, and these things. You know how many thousands of bottles of oxygen had to be purchased to keep these people who had contracted COVID alive? And I remember the present Minister of Health, Mr. Moses Jabatis, coming to the Parliament and saying that the government was responsible for certain people who may have died because he heard there was a shortage of oxygen at the hospital. Well, today is not just oxygen, and there was not a shortage of oxygen. But think of a bottle of oxygen that cost over $230. And how many bottles were used at the hospital? Today, you don't have gauze and thread at the hospital. You don't have Panadol. Moses Jabatis is guilty of genocide in this country. We cannot have a health sector that is so badly managed. We had a new CEO come to the hospital. Where is he? When last you heard from the CEO? What is the upgrade of the hospital? Over 400 people died when Labour Party came into office under COVID, while we had managed it to only about 80, and even the 80 was high. St. Lucia, the United Workers' Party has proven that we are 10 times better than the Labour Party in handling healthcare and the economy in this country. Now, I was in this room and they brought in a team of consultants to present to us on national health coverage. NHC. UHC, Universal Health Coverage. I was taken aback. I was sitting next to the candidate for Castries South, Mr. Benson Emil, who was the PS for Health. And Mr. Benson opened his computer and he showed me, because I was sitting next to him. He told me, but all these things these consultants are presenting there, we are years ahead of them. Why would the Labour Party have all the plans and, as you said, cosmetic changes? So rather than call it National Health Insurance, they want to call it Universal Health Coverage. What's the difference? Now, I like to bring my evidence to prove what I am saying. So I am going to show you what the Labour Party said, because it is relevant. When they introduced VAT in 2012, in their manifesto, St. Lucia Labour Party blew our blueprint for growth. And the blueprint is in red. And you know when your account is in red, what that means. You know when the economy is in red, it's not good. You know generally most things in red, not good. Okay. Here's what Dr. Anthony said. Government must respond to the growing and changing needs of its citizens. That is on the value-added tax. Page 13. Among these are the needs to ensure that all children from birth get access to quality education. All citizens have access to affordable health care. Now, I will stop there on these two. There are many more on that VAT was supposed to achieve. Tell me which parent that is not paying preschool for their children today. And how many years we've been paying VAT? From 2012 to now? 12 years? 2013. 12 years we've been paying VAT. For these 12 years, parents are still paying for preschool. But here's what he said. All children from birth have access to quality education. All citizens have access to affordable health care. Tell me how many people can afford health care in St. Lucia today. Now, that's a promise of the St. Lucia Labour Party made in 2011. If you want to believe their promises, believe. On page 38 of the same manifesto, universal health care, a reality. This is what Labour Party said in 2011. It is our party's mission to ensure that every St. Lucian has access to a package of guaranteed health services. In this term of office, our party will, not may, will implement universal health care. I want to ask St. Lucians, Dr. Anthony and Philip J. Pierre was in office from 2011 to 2016. Do we have universal health care coverage? Philip J. Pierre came in with his 2021 manifesto. I like to say it in their own words. This is what he says. Universal health care on page 20. And I know I'm repeating this, but I will repeat it as often as I have to until it registers in the minds of every St. Lucian. He says universal health care will be implemented within the first term of a Labour Party government. He says St. Jude Hospital will be reopened within the shortest possible time. And the shortest possible time is certainly not 4 years. Because 4 years is on the corner. OKEU Hospital will be adequately resourced with proper emergency services. Ask yourself, when you go to OKEU, are there proper emergency services? We shall make the employment of eligible contracted nurses and doctors permanent. And I say to you, as of late last month, May, nurses who had worked from since December, some of them had not been paid. We want quality health care. And you have money to hire a consultant to redo all what was done previously, all the documentation. And you know what really puzzled me? And we questioned the consultants. Now, I gave the government the opportunity to speak about it. It's 2 weeks I've been asking them. The consultant, I was sitting in a seat by that table and I was taking notes. And the consultant said to me, you don't need to take notes. The presentation will be sent to you all. That's more than 3 weeks ago. I inquired up to this morning and the presentation has not been sent. But Guy ain't no fool when he sits around a table. I took my notes and I asked my questions. Because when I take my notes, I understand what I write and what I hear. So I'm still waiting on the consultant to keep to his promise of sending the presentation. But St. Lucia has the truth about the UHC that the Labour Party has not told you. They make you believe that it is free. And in the presentation that was made, it is not free. It is a health insurance that has to be paid for. And the financial models they have that is being discussed includes an increase in VAT. Did you hear me? It includes an increase in VAT. Now, the Labour Party promised us that a percentage of GDP. Here's what it says. In demonstration on page 20 of the 2021 manifesto. Here's what it says. In demonstration of a Labour Party government commitment to health care and the well-being of its citizens, a percentage of GDP will be committed to the maintenance and improvement of St. Lucia healthcare system. We were never told that there was going to be additional taxes. We were never told that they would put a health and security levy on the false pretense. We were never told any of these things. What we were told is a percentage of GDP is what would be used. Now, the new model for financing is not coming from GDP, it is coming from the pockets of St. Lucians. So, I have asked the Labour Party to be responsible and tell St. Lucians the truth. And in closing my presentation, what the consultants have presented, there's no implementation of universal health care on the horizon because they are so far behind. If they had taken the work that was done by the Ministry of Health, they could have implemented universal health insurance, which is what a UWP government promised. But I want to say here that a United Workers' Party coming into office, we had done all of the groundwork for universal health insurance. And in a very short time, we will be able to roll out universal health insurance. And the consultants had to admit when they sat with us that, look here, we can see what you all have. But if we are given a job to do consultancy, we do a job for consultancy. Has the government told us who they appointed to do the consultancy? Have they told the people of St. Lucia how much this consultancy is starting? Now, I'm always mindful of my words. And I know I said Moses Jean-Baptiste is the one I hold guilty of genocide. I don't hold him. I hold the Labour Party because Mr. Jean-Baptiste could not do anything by himself. It is a cabinet of ministers who sat and did not vote adequately for the health budget and to improve OKEU. And St. Lucia, we don't make false promises. We ask you 5 for 5. You did not give us 5, so you did not get 5. We are asking you to give us 5 years. We will introduce unemployment benefits. We've not heard a word from the present government on this. Monthly assistance to the elderly will be increased. Parents will not have to buy books for their children to go to school. We are going to reduce VAT to 10%. With labor, there's a possibility that it can go to 17.5%. With UWP, it is going to go down to 10%. And medical care for all, $75,000 health insurance coverage for every St. Lucian. This is what a United Workers' Party will offer you when you re-elect us into office as soon as the next election is called. I thank you.